Redditors, what made you quit your job?
I was an associate attorney at a law firm that had about 25 attorneys and 100 support staff. I was one of the youngest attorneys at the time. The partners didn't seem to like me very much. I was called into a come-to-Jesus meeting with the owner of the firm after working there for about 8 months. This was roughly the end of September. It was all petty bullshit. They didn't like how I socialized with the support staff. They were all my age and great people. Supposedly they wouldn't respect me as an attorney. They respected me more than the other attorneys because I actually treated them like human beings. They didn't like how I would occasionally nap in my car at lunchtime because people would think they were working me so hard that I didn't get enough sleep at night. Really dumb stuff like that. December rolls around and it's time for Christmas bonuses. I get called into the managing partner's office. I'm told they're not giving me a Christmas bonus that year. Not a dime. Not even a supermarket gift card. They didn't even give me a reason why. I didn't bother asking. I was pissed off at this point and decided I'd start looking for a new job that night. A week later was our office Christmas party. It was a huge event at a country club. There was a huge Christmas tree with tons of wrapped gifts under it. The male support staff all received nice watches. The female support staff all received nice jewelry. The attorneys, who had already received their substantial Christmas bonuses, except me, all received these chocolate gift towers with different snacks, like 4 tiers high, so no one left empty-handed. Except all I received was that chocolate tower. I apparently meant less to that firm than every single other employee. 2 weeks later, I had a new job, where I stayed for 8.5 years. Now I own my own law firm.
Don't rewrite that program. Use the legacy code.
But
No buts. I know what I'm saying.
that thing doesn't.
Freaking do as I say.
2 months later.
Why did you use the legacy code if you knew it doesn't work? Who the F told you to do that?
Back in 1998, I was working for Dell selling computers over the phones. People were not quite ordering online yet. Anyway, it was so easy. I was making close to $100,000 a year because of how the commission structure was. Living in Austin as a 23-year-old. So one day my manager asked me to train a new team of salespeople because I was one of the top sellers on the floor every month. I turned this group into the most badass sales team. My crew of 8 were all in the top 20 every week and were kicking ass. After 2 months, I show up on a Monday and none of the salespeople are there except my team and a bunch of other new faces I hadn't seen before. Turns out Dell didn't like paying commissions and health insurance and 401k, so they fired all the salespeople and replaced them with temp workers making $12 an hour. My entire team was the first group of temp works. I was not aware of this. They were told they had to prove themselves and be converted to full-time with benefits. They were never going to do it. I told them they can all go fuck themselves and quit. I heard that week they cleaned house and everyone, even managers who told me what was happening, were gone and all replaced by temp hourly people. At 17, I was a young line cook at an upscale Italian restaurant. I was picking everything up so quickly I knew all the stations on the line within 10 months of hiring. I was getting minimum wage, at the time $7.25 per hour, and asked for a $1 per hour raise to reflect my diverse capabilities. Got denied and asked the chef when I could get it then. She said, "You're too young for a raise, just be happy with minimum wage." In response, I said I may have to start looking elsewhere for a job who'll pay me what I'm worth. She then said, "Don't you know how expendable cooks are? If you leave, I can replace you on the spot." So I did. A Sunday evening dinner service, very busy. At the height of the night, I and my friend who I got hired took off our aprons and walked off the line towards the front door. He came with me in solidarity, plus I was his ride home. Felt good for a day or two, but I've never quit that way ever since. Been in the service industry for 23 years now. My first job in high school was washing dishes at a pub. I got it so I could buy my GF a necklace that she wanted as a Christmas present. Come NYE, they decided to put one person on dishes for a packed evening. I was quickly inundated. Close at 10 p.m. and at 11 p.m. I'm still doing dishes, and this fat bitch chef is watching me laughing about how I'm not gonna be able to spend the New Year moment with my little girlfriend. I just said I just remembered I don't need to do this and walked out of that place and never went back. I had a very stressful job and was expected to answer Slack messages from my boss at any time or I would be fired. He was in a different time zone, so often I would be woken up at 3 a.m. being yelled at to do something. One day in the office, he was talking shit about me on Slack and accidentally posted it to a channel I was in. I was killing myself for this guy, and he didn't even appreciate it. I packed up and left. Best thing I've ever done. Not on the spot, but I was passed over for a promotion for a role I'd been doing unofficially for 6 months. There was no official position for it when I started doing it. It was one of the manager's responsibilities, and they delegated it to me. Honestly, I was happy to do it, and I was frequently praised for how efficient and thorough I was doing it. So when an official position opened up to do it full-time, I seemed like the obvious choice. A bunch of my coworkers didn't even apply for it because they told me they didn't think there was any point since I was obviously getting the job. They gave it to a guy that worked in a different department and had no experience using the complicated system required for that job. Then the manager asked me to train him in it. Except I wasn't really asked. I was told in a way that sounded like it was asking. We called it being voluntold. I refused. I said to the manager, if I'm not good enough to get the job, I'm not good enough to teach someone else how to do it. The manager then accused me throwing a temper tantrum. I quit about a week later. Honestly, that wasn't the only reason. That was just the straw that broke the camel's back. Even the other managers couldn't believe he said that. Worked at a restaurant as a server. We just catered a large wedding reception. The owner's wife was chatting with the wedding party all night and occasionally getting the drinks. At the end of the night, she said she's taking her share of the tips since she helped so much. I say fine, even though that's illegal in our state. An hour and a half after the party ends, the restaurant is still a mess and the owner's wife is just standing around talking while I was supposed to clean up. It was almost midnight and I'd worked my other job earlier that day. I walked out without saying a word. They ended up giving me all of my tips on my last check. I had worked for a cleaning company and I had a total disaster of a person named Tina as my manager for about 4 months. Tina would work the night shift with a crew and basically did nothing. She would leave the majority of the work for me to do during the day when it was a lot harder to do as I had my own list of duties as well as whatever she left for me from her own list. I was teetering on the edge of quitting, but I hadn't found a replacement when one day I got a call from head office that Tina had quit, and for about a month the job was exceptionally better and I effectively was my own boss. Things were going remarkably smooth for again, about a month when I got a text message from Tina asking me to do a bunch of extra stuff. I called the owner and they told me that Tina had approached them about coming back and that they were rehiring her in her former position, and I literally just packed up and walked out about an hour into my shift. I had zero intention of working another minute for that woman and held to it. Not me, but a middle-aged tradesman where I work. I work underground and it isn't for everybody, terrible environment and whatnot. This particular individual starting working and after a few weeks decided that it wasn't for him. Bad conditions and hostile supervisor. He approached the boss at the morning meeting and told him that he wasn't going underground and that he was quitting. The boss told him that he had to give him 2 weeks notice, and without missing a beat the guy replied, "For the next 2 weeks you're gonna notice that I'm not here," turned around, packed his shit and left. Was never heard from again.
Subscribe for more. Share your story in the comments below. Thanks for watching.